Hey guys, welcome back. Learn for Two podcast. This is Brandon DeBeer. Thank you as always for tuning in and sharing your time with me. I do appreciate that. Today we are continuing on with our interview series. And today we have the founder and owner as well as real estate broker in Scottsdale, Arizona. She is the founder and owner of EngageMore CRM, Patti Sampson. Patti, how are you today?
I'm awesome. Thanks so much for having me today, Brandon.
Absolutely. Thank you for being on. I appreciate you taking the time to share, what you've built with us and in your excitement. We've had a pretty quick conversation before this, and we kind of got going pretty good. So I did get a chance to learn a little bit more about you, but now I'd like to have the guests or the listeners have a chance to learn a little bit more. Can you just give us a brief background of what got you to this point where you're at now?
Oh boy. Well, we only have a few minutes, so I could be here for days. But basically, I am a real estate broker in Arizona, in Scottsdale. I got my license in early '04 as a result of 17 years of sitting behind a desk for working for attorneys. And one day I woke up and said, I'm going to put a gun to my head if I got to push this paper from right to left one more second. I was a single mother. I had 2 teenagers at home, and I quit my job cold turkey to go get my real estate license.
Wow.
And I always tell everybody it was the best thing I ever did. In fact, when I told my boss I was leaving, he goes, I don't know. He goes, I'm going to really miss you. I have no idea what I'm going to do without you, but I got to tell you, I don't know what you're doing here. I feel so bad. You should have left a long time ago, which is funny. So I got out and I started working for a company pretty quickly who started to give me 100 to 200 internet leads. This was back pre-Zillow days. I think Zillow was around, but they weren't, what they were today. And had to figure out how I was going to get these people talking to me. So I took everything, my 100 words a minute typing went onto my computer and started communicating with these leads through a proprietary CRM. And so get here today, and I sold 42 homes that first year working for that company on my own, no help, and figured out it's all in the follow-up. And that's how I ended up here, So I'm like, all right, all these years later, it was time for me to figure out a way to do this better in my own tool, in my own system. So that's how the new CRM got started, and I'm so excited about it. I got so much to share with people, and it helps me do it in my own house instead of somebody else's house. So,
Awesome.
And I don't mean I am in my house, true, but.
But so EngageMore CRM was basically built out of, why did you created it? Because the things you were using, you knew
Right.
follow up that was most important, but the things you were using weren't really like geared towards to exactly what you were trying to use it. Is that correct?
Well, it's partly that. I started helping out in other CRMs. I've been in many other CRMs. The CRM I was in originally when I first started was a company proprietary one. So when I finally realized, it was time for me to stop giving them 65% of everything I did in exchange for these leads, by the way, you're nuts when you sell 42 homes, you make $82,000. Now I'm in the Scottsdale area, so our prices aren't so great, but that's what I made that first year. And your kids are calling you out, telling you, pick the phone up 9 times during dinner. So you get obsessed, right? So I was obsessed with my CRM because I knew there was no way to be in 2 places at once and raise 2 teenage kids and be able to, support a home, right? And take care of them. So I got obsessed about it. And I learned in every CRM I'd gone through when I left that company that it was pretty much the same thing. The problem is I would learn it so well, then I would go out and teach other people because it's just in my nature to want to do that, why are you spinning your wheels? Let me show you quickly how to do it. So I ended up helping in a number of different CRMs throughout the years and growing my own teams and, teaching people how to use the stuff. And then it was just about, I would say about 2 years ago that I finally had this epiphany. You don't have control over the software when there's issues or when people are complaining. I helped people and I coached them through all this stuff and I gave them drip campaigns. And then I just said, I think it's time for me to do this on my own because I think I can. And it was just the perfect timing. The system I was in was going through an upgrade that actually ended up just being, to me, lipstick on a pig. And it was disappointing. And so I thought, I can't keep doing this in other people's systems. I know I can teach this, and I know I can show people the importance of their CRM in their business. And as you said, the money's in the follow-up. It's not in lead generation. So I was on this mission to share the message about that, because we're out spending all kinds of money and time lead generating with no systems in place, and we don't know what we're doing in them, right? So that's what got me to where I'm at. So it gave me a platform to be able to put all my content in there, all the proven stuff that I've been using, but also to be able to teach it, and on the sales end of it, as opposed to, hey, here's technology, learn it. I'm teaching you to be a salesperson. Oh, by the way, there's some software over here that can help you. And don't do it this way, do it that way, So that's how I got to where I'm at. Just realized it was time for me to find a home for my own stuff.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. And I know that for the most part, I mean, we're kind of already picking up as kind of assuming that everyone knows what a CRM is. Yeah. I know that there are some people out there that don't. So if I could just back it up just a little bit.
Good call.
So that we can talk about, for some people that might be listening to this that don't know what a CRM is, can you just give just a brief explanation of what a CRM is and why agents need one?
Why you need it? So it's short for, and I've heard it a couple different ways. I say contact relationship management, CRM. It's helping you communicate with your database, your prospects. So that's one reason. I give 5 reasons really why you should have a CRM, but the first reason is to be able to automate your business. And then you want to be able to, keep yourself organized, right? And so what it does, it will help you to send out automatically follow-up, especially in the real estate world. And it doesn't matter really, because I'm here to help people. I help people in all kinds of industries, coaching, marketing, entrepreneurs, people that are trying to promote things. But in the real estate industry, especially, people don't come online today and buy from you right away or use your services. You have to instill trust, because there's just so much money involved. And a lot of people aren't ready, A lot of people will go and buy Zillow leads and say that the Zillow leads suck. But really the reality is it's not so much of the lead sucking, it's the follow-up. It's what you're doing to stay in front of them, not just automatically, but with the content. So what it does is help you to automate and organize and manage your business so that every morning I tell people, this is your office. If you can't come in and identify your hottest business from the engagement that you're getting, from whatever you're doing, you need to be sending better stuff, then your CRM, that's what your CRM is there for. It's not just to put all your people in there and stare at them, right? Because that happens. The massive humanity, I train agents all over the country on this, and they tell me I'm paying for my CRM and have for years. And I say, well, what are you sending out? Nothing. What are you using it for? Well, really nothing. And why? Because I don't know what I'm doing in here. So that's what it's for. It's there to help you manage your business, and so that if you have 30, 60 minutes to do some prospecting every day, and you should, that you can go in and identify your business that you're going to work with today, right? And then just let everything else run so that you can pounce on them when they pop their heads up. But you got to be able to identify when they're popping their heads up and showing interest, right? It starts with the content. You send better content, people are going to be opening, they're going to be clicking, and they're going to help you identify that hot business. So your system should do that for you. So kind of a long answer, but
no, it's perfect.
I think if I just said it automates and sends emails, that's not what it's just for, right? So.
Well, I think that's important that you talk about the content as well. I'm very much so of adding personal content to an extent of things that I share, because and this could be my own opinion. I'm not sure about yours, but understanding that there's more to content than just real estate facts and things like that. And then also, like you said, being engaged with them, so that when it does become time, like you said, I think online I guess it's probably a little tougher to really understand what it is, but online, like, lead conversion rate is what, like 2 to 3% for for the most
Oh,
part?
I'll tell you exactly. Yeah, most agents who start in this business usually are working off of their Outlook or Excel spreadsheets
Hmm.
or pieces of paper, right? Most agents will only close about 1% of their leads, and those are people that don't have systems in place or using them but not really using them, and because their content stinks. The average agent who is using something, believe it or not, is about 3 to 5%. And that's a lot. Like, why would you go out and spend all this money on leads thinking you could only close 3 to 5%? Well, you have to look at the big picture. If you're closing 3 to 5% of your leads and you get 100 leads, of course you're not getting 100 leads today and closing 3 to 5 of those. You're closing 3 to 5 of the ones you got 6 months ago,
Yeah.
right, or a year ago. So it's filling up a pipeline. But that's the big thing, is people don't realize that we are not very good at that follow-up part. And most of our, and honestly, I just looked this up the other day, the average real estate agent sends out content and they might get 10 to 15% of their mail open. And the problem with that is you don't get a piece of mail open, email, you're never going to get a response. They're never going to connect with you. And as soon as they get turned off, and normally they're getting turned off in the first stuff you're sending, because you're sending stuff, and I hate to use the word crap, but that's kind of what I say, the crappy content that's written in a lot of these CRMs out there for real estate professionals. There wasn't a lot of thought put into this. So, you know, you got to get your mail open to get a response. In our system, across the board, I just looked yesterday, we have 64% open rate this past week. Now, I will admit it's Corona time, you know, we're going through COVID and all that. So there's a lot of people who are just sitting around opening mail, but our average open rates are in the 50% range, 50 to 60% range. And you can't, you know, you can't get people talking to you if they don't open your mail and give them a call to action, which is a whole nother discussion, right?
Yeah. Well,
so,
and then I guess that speaks to your content as well, is that when they do open it, that they're going to open the next one. You know, if
exactly.
if your content, if they just know what you're going to say again and again and again, you know, we talk about a couple books beforehand. I lost the cover to this one,
yes.
but have you read Jab, 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 Right Hook?
Oh yeah, I have it down here. Yeah. Gary V.
That's
Gary
funny.
says.
By the way, before this started, we were having a book show off, and each of us had pretty much the same book that the other one was showing. So it's not surprising that you have that.
We kind of go in the same circles a little. We didn't even know it.
I know, exactly. But it is funny is that as agents in general, I feel like we are right hooking all the time. And if your content is always right hook, it's going to fall on deaf ears. So to show that you're getting 50 to 60% open rate, that's a lot of jabs going in there that people are going to go, I want to see I want to see what else they have to say, because it's not just begging and asking.
It's not junk.
Yeah.
Well, I think it starts out like you have to know where your lead is coming from. So there's two really important things if you're going to build a drip campaign that's going to get response. And the first thing is who's your audience? Like, where are you getting your leads from? Are you sitting open houses? If you're sitting in open house, where's that open house at? What's the neighborhood? What's whatever? What are they in there looking for? They're walking or they're driving up and looking at the house. Or if you're buying Zillow leads, you're in a zip code, or you're doing a Facebook ad and you're promoting a list of homes or your property you have. So it starts out with that audience, and then it goes, all right, now the audience, what's the offer? Between the audience and the offer, that campaign needs to blend those things together. So our biggest problems as agents is we're going into these CRMs, and the CRMs have all the same content in there for buyers, right? And then they just turn this buyer campaign on, or we're hiring, this is even worse, we're hiring Facebook ad guys to do ads for us because we don't know how to do them, which is fine. I totally agree. Hire people to do them. But your biggest questions you have to ask is, who's going to see these ads and what's the offer? Because then you're stuck trying to figure out what are you going to say to the people. And if you're not sending what the people signed up to get from the minute that lead arrives, and hopefully it's arriving automatically and not manually, and most CRMs will do that. Ours does, obviously, is that we want to take a good buyer campaign, for instance, and one we love, and all I say is clone the thing, make a copy of it, and then change the first few things that come out of it to match what the consumer signed up to get from you, because you're going to turn them off in that first letter. They will not look at anything else you're sending. It's like the bait and switch.
Yeah.
So they're waiting to get whatever that offer was, but yet you don't even know how to edit your campaign to get it that, to get them what they want, you know? And not only that, if you're offering lists of homes, it shouldn't just be a one-time thing. I always tell people, I told you earlier, I'm 58 years old. So I got my real estate license in my mid 40s. And honestly, I didn't know what the heck I was doing, right? Not only do you want to send your list one time, so if you're offering a list of houses, you want to make sure they're getting it over and over again, and you're driving them back to your website. And then what happened when I did this, and I'm laughing about it because I didn't know what I was doing, I built a campaign that would continually send every 3 days this link to that property that I was offering up or whatever it was. It was a link to similar type houses, right? North Phoenix, for instance. And anyway, I go randomly run a search 4 months later just to see where I was at on YouTube. And I just ran North Phoenix luxury homes. And guess who was on the first page of Google right underneath the ads? And it happened as a result of my drip campaign. Everybody who clicked on my drip campaign. And so this is the cool part, is those 95% of people that you aren't going to work with, they're still clicking. And they're helping you grow your online exposure. And it worked miraculously for 3 of my niches. And so even to this day, I haven't run ads for years in North Phoenix, and I'm still on the first page of Google for a site that I don't even love. I have like 4 different websites, but I keep that site up there because it's getting action.
Yeah.
So, organically, you want to be seen eventually, so you're not having to spend all the money on your leads, if you're buying leads, So I could go on for hours about that discussion, but.
Well, so other than like the content that you're offering, what else sets apart EngageMore CRM from some of the other CRM? I mean, there's a bunch out there. We talked about a couple beforehand, and I think that maybe people they just, it's a CRM. I use this one. It's the cheapest one. This is why I use it.
Well, I would tell you this. One of the first things I always tell people when they're asking me about what sets me apart, number one is I am very, very adamant about the content that you're sending. So all of the campaigns that I have used in my own business throughout the years, and I've now sold hundreds of sales and actually don't do as much real estate as I used to. I still have a team, small one. But what I really focus on is content. And so I provide the content, the same stuff that I used in my successful real estate business. I have helped agents now from coast to coast for the last, I would say really heavily for the last 5 years in this business to selling the campaigns. So I just decided I'm going to load my own CRM up with this stuff. Instead of us having to go into your CRM and build it, it's loaded. They're loaded up in our system. And so that's one of the differences. And the other difference is I can give, and I mentioned this to you earlier, I can give people drip campaigns because I get people contacting me all the time. I just want your campaigns. I want to stick them in my CRM. Well, that's fine. I can give you drip campaigns till I'm blue in the face. But if you don't know how to use your CRM, I'm pushing you off into the ocean without any paddles to get back to shore. So you do need to use your tools. You need to understand. But the reason we don't use it is because no one taught us. Even our brokers, because many of our brokers, and I hate to say it, are my age, but I got into real estate late and it was all online. So it was the only thing I knew. Ask me to knock some doors and do some farming, forget it. But can I talk internet all day long? Yeah, but that's where most of us are at. So, but I mean, I think one of the reasons too that I built my own CRM was because I used to just you're going into a house, you always got something when you're going to show a home, right? My thing was, I'm going to the back of the house when I was buying my house. I want to look at that yard. Because if that yard isn't going to work, the rest of the house, I don't even bother looking at, right? So for me, it was the drip campaign scheduling area. So if it didn't have the strength and the power to schedule and to set up in a way that we can stay in front of them for holidays, long-term, over and over, set up that recurring letter I set out, right? If your system can't do that, to me, it wasn't going to work for me. So I built this to be able to work for all the things I knew that grew my business. So that made a difference, and not every CRM has it, So I know people go into CRMs because they want that dialer or they want that texting service. But I mean, that's because somebody probably told them they should have it, but most people don't use dialers. And most people don't use AI intelligent, texting services. They don't like them. I don't personally need either of those in my business, but because my texting that's built into my system is so good, so you just got to be available when people respond,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's
Well,
all.
what excites me about this, as we're talking about it, is that it was built for agents by an agent, by someone
Mm-hmm.
who knew. Because I think a lot of I had heard from someone about a year and a half ago. This guy that was in tech, and he wasn't in real estate, but we were talking about tech in real estate, and he just said, quite frankly, real estate is 10 years behind in the available tech that's out there. Real estate is like 10 years behind. And then now we have, some other companies creating a CRM that's maybe not meant for real estate, but they just say, hey, we'll just use this CRM because this is what it is. So
Right.
this kind of excites me a little bit that,
Look how excited you are. You can't even talk.
I know, right? But the idea that it's built from an agent
Yeah.
who has gone through these troubles, these challenges, and then
Yes.
has had success with using it that way. So it's kind of a way that everyone can kind of benefit from your experience and putting it into a spot that they can use as a real estate agent. So I think that's
Yeah.
great. And on top of that, like right now in this moment in time, we just brought up COVID-19, people sitting around opening emails and stuff like that. How important do you think it is right now that you
Or
are engaging with with your clients, your leads, and all that stuff through a CRM of
Brandon, I tell you right now that when COVID hit, I knew then, and let me just say, I rolled out my software right during the middle of the COVID crisis, right at the beginning of it in January 2019 or 2020. It rolled out. Now it's proven software. It's been around for 15 years. I have been just fine tuning it with the software company, so we're powerful. But the point I guess I'm trying to make is, when we rolled out and then COVID hit, I thought to myself, now is the time to make sure that the message is out there. I am on a mission. The reason I did this, sure, money's nice, let's face it, we're all in this for money, but the reason I did this was because I was so sorry when I hear agents say that they're out spending time and energy creating all these leads and then not getting anything in place for the follow-up. And I thought, now is the time, because they're home or they have the time to work on it instead of in it. So it is the time to be doing this, because you have, first of all, the real estate's still doing well, but if you're quieter than you ever have, now's the time to be getting this stuff set up. It's amazing to me how many people I've talked to that are multi-million-dollar sellers that are still working off Excel spreadsheets. And I think to myself, how much better their lives would be if they could automate this. And they always go, save me, Patti, save me. Well, I can't save you. You got to save yourself, but I can certainly give you instructions on how to do it and provide you the content you need to get set up in the fastest way possible, because it starts with our database cleanup,
Mhm.
So that's where we have the time now to go in and it's the database cleanup stinks. So I'm not saying go in and try to clean up 10,000 leads. I'm telling you who to look for first so that we can get some business out of that pile first. And we're going to start out a small little group of people, get some engagement right away, show them what you can, that you're still here. And then we bring them all in organized fashion, because that's our problem. Like, we hate moving from CRM to CRM, but that's because no one showed us the best way to do it. Well, I'm suggesting that you don't pull 10,000 leads out and try to move them all at once.
Yeah.
That's a huge mistake. You want to pull them out in an organized fashion of people that are similar, right? So I always tell people, start with the old stale leads that are less than 2 years old, because those people most likely came on starting doing research. And those people are probably still waiting, to get some help from somebody who's going to reach out, right? And I'm going to show you how, because we provide you the re-engagement. I was telling you about my revival course, my lead revival course. I want to get started, but I do have a re-engagement program, a jumpstart program, where I teach you how to do all this stuff. And this is part and parcel, just get in and get going. You can go through it in the afternoon. It's what the problem is cleaning up your database, because I don't know what kind of a mess you're in. And we're all in messes. Don't get me wrong. It's a constant moving target,
Oh yeah.
So,
I mean, I have my database is a mess.
Yeah, everybody's is. I mean, I could go into mine and I have to clean it up today because it's constantly moving, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the first mess, just as a tip, is like all of our letters pull in the first name into the subject line and the body of the letter so that we're more personalized. There's a lot of reasons for that. But one of the first reasons is it helps you stay out of the spam folder. So that's a whole discussion itself. But on top of that, when you're scrolling through your email and you see a first name pop up, you're more likely as a consumer to stop for a second and see if they really know me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's important about that, though, is that if you're pulling in leads from, Zillow, you know how they fill out. Sometimes they put in, I always give this example. I hope I can say it on your podcast, but someone might sign up as Dumbass Smith or something like that. And so the letters are going out, Dear Dumbass. So, or even if it's Dear Sue, but it's lowercase Sue, if it's consistently doing that, it's very clear this is a canned letter. People are not going to open that, right? So it's the simplest things. And then I have another tip I could give you about your from line. Tell everybody you're an agent. Go into your profile, change your name. Nobody gives a crap what your last name is right now if you're buying leads on Zillow, right? Let them know that you're an agent in your from line in the profile of your email account. And then between that and your better subject line, you're going to get more opens. Boom. Of course, you got to have better content inside too, but I mean, that gets you started.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you brought up an interesting point, and obviously I've seen a number of different names that show up on your like you said, Mass Smith or whatever.
Oh yeah, that was a nice one.
Yeah, well, I've had other ones that are worse as well. And it's one of the things that I talk about often. The podcast class that I teach is about, because most people, like you said, the leads are one thing, the follow up is the other. So there is a lot of times, in my experience, people who land on your website are. Yesterday they went in, they said Las Vegas homes for sale with pools, and they Googled it, and they landed on the site. The first thing that popped up, and they said, oh, now I got to enter my information. Well, the next day they forgot what site they were on. Right. And they go back to Google and they go, Las Vegas homes for sale with pools. Now they land on a different site. And without your content being able to keep them there, they're going to forget what site you were on. They're going to forget, because for the most part, many of the IDX web searches, sites like that, a lot of them are very similar, and it would be tough for a consumer to go, oh, I remember that one. And some of them are actually the same, depending on the company you're with. You might have the exact same as another one. Yes. So I kind of got off on a tangent there, but my question was, what is the craziest name, if you can remember, if not a big deal, it just popped in my head, that you've actually converted from a fake name lead to an actual buyer, seller, client?
I honestly, I think I got everything under the sun, and I can't say it out loud. Okay. So, but it would be Dear F, right? So because they signed up as FU, right? Yeah. So, however, I will say this, that when I had more time to really work my leads the way, because I have a team now that works a lot of my stuff, but what I used to do is, like, they would sign up as Mickey Mouse, and we would get that a lot. And then I would go, Dear Mickey, and then I would take a second because the letter would pull in if I wanted to, back in the day, I had to copy and paste. There was no automation. So I had, when I first started in real estate, that first year, I had in Word all of my templates there, and I would give everybody a code. And then I would get to the point where my 11-year-old, I would give him 10 cents for every time he would copy and paste an email. So what we would do is I would pull a list of all the similar type codes, and I'd say, all right, honey, for the next, finish, copy and paste these over. So when a name like Mickey Mouse would show up, I might go, all right, now when they say, it's Dear Mickey, I would go, Dear Mickey. And then in a bracket, I would go, I just love your first name. It's so creative. Something along those lines, so that they knew that this wasn't canned. In a way it was canned, but it really wasn't canned. Because of the way I wrote all my letters, because I did type fast. It was easy to get this person who likes to talk down on here. but then we're also really just trying to make sure that the message is clear. We really, it's just so easy to make it look like it wasn't canned. So even though their names might have shown up funny like that, I would still might put a little blurb in there because they were being what they thought were funny, or, you know, jerks. I just got one the other day that the email's name was, do not email me. First name, do not, last name, email me. So, you know, dear, do not, that's what it would have gone out.
Yeah.
So when you talk about cleaning that database up, that first name thing is so, so important, and nobody thinks about it, you know, especially if you're doing those kind of leads where people are filling forms out and they want to put something fake in there, you know, crap shows up and then you're not looking real. But yeah, I've converted a lot of people, and I've converted a lot of people who said they already had agents. You know, I always say, you know, it's kind of like when you go in the department store and you don't want to be bothered. They, can I help you out? Can I help you? And you're just there until they need you. And the worst part is this happens at Home Depot. Then when you need somebody, they're nowhere around. You don't want to be that person, because then they're going off to look for another agent because you're not there. So be that person that shows up, and then they'll go, I love what they're sending me, and I know I'm not ready right now. And when I'm ready, I'm going to call this person because she is all over it. And even though I haven't wrote her back, well, I tell you, no, I will say that I know when they don't write me back, but I sure can tell when they're looking and clicking on stuff. So for me, that's they're turning into a warmer lead, and I'm tracking that as I see that they're doing things, even though they may not be responding, right? And they're growing my organic niche because I continue to send them stuff right over and over again, and they're growing that. So that's helping a lot. So let those leads help you more than you're really helping them, because you're only going to be able to help 5 or 10% of them, you know, if you're lucky.
Well, that's a great point. I like that perspective of it. Because there's a lot of things that we do that we want, especially us as agents. We want this instant gratification and we want this done now. But there's so many ancillary things that happen when you do, you know, when you produce great content, because you might have a lead that you get and you're producing that content over and over again, and maybe they don't buy, but they may go, hey, you know what? This agent has been talking to me lately. I think they'd be a perfect fit. You know, you're looking to buy, well, you should contact them, you know, stuff like that.
Happens all the time. Right. Yeah. And I like to use the thing. I had a lead come out of the woodwork 5 years after they had signed up. And actually their engagement campaign part ended, but they were still getting MLS listings from me, because every lead we get, every single lead is getting an engagement campaign and they're getting listings from us. And I don't care. I mean, if you're doing any kind of ads, you should know what to send them based on those kind of ads. So it used to be in the day I would go to the MLS, and if I went there now, I could show you, it's like I have hundreds and hundreds of generalized generalized email templates built in my system for searches all over the Phoenix metro area, because I worked all over, right? And so then I got wise and said, you know, I'm not going to work with most of these people, so I'm going to drive them to my site. Well, when I drove them to my site, it grew my organic reach, you know, and I didn't realize then what I was doing, but when they tell you they don't, what you're waiting for them to do is tell you, that's not what I want something else. And then when they do, you just got to be on it, right? But if you don't keep showing up, they're going to forget you, right? So that whole store scenario, to me, is a really great way to think about it. You know, you don't want them until you want them. And then when you want them, where the hell are you? You know, you better be there. So, but you got to send better stuff, because they're going to not look at your stuff if it's crappy, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, do you have any other pieces of advice that you'd give out to, you know, maybe somebody who's interested in getting a CRM like your platform, or maybe somebody who has just started with it?
Yeah. So first of all, if you're just starting, I think you're smart to be here listening to this, because you need to know, number one, what you're doing is building a business. And how I always try to tell people is, if you're just starting, especially if you're sitting open houses, you want to make sure that you're collecting names of every person that has any interest doing real estate with you, anybody, and getting those things. So you've got to put them somewhere. And if you look at the big grand picture, so I don't know, most people are getting their license at what average age now? I don't really know, to be honest with you, because I've been doing this for so long, but your average age of somebody getting your lead, your database set up now, look at it as a product for you to sell later, because when you're my age, pushing 60, you don't want to be out there running around like a crazy woman in 110-degree heat in Scottsdale. You want other people to do it. So if you can sell it, you want to look at it as a commodity, but you can't do that if they're on sheets of paper and on Excel spreadsheets all over the place. And if you do a good job keeping it clean, so you're starting now, you're lucky. The other thing I would give advice when you're trying to choose a CRM, number one is don't go do what everybody tells you should do. So we go into all of those forums, and I've been in a zillion of them. I know you're in a zillion of them, that you see the words. I go in and run a search for CRM to see how often it shows up all the time. What CRM you use? So the point to make is that you need to know when you're choosing a CRM is what is the system going to do for your business, not how is it working for that guy's business. Mm-hmm. Because that guy might love the dialer and the dialer is in that system, right? Or somebody would rather have better drip follow-up campaigns. So they would come maybe to me because I've got better follow-up. So you have to know what your business is about to be able to make a decision. And so when we go and say, what CRM are you using? First of all, and on top of that, what's your technology, I guess, your ability to consume technology, right? Because you mentioned earlier, you mentioned some other CRMs we've been in and how they're not as user-friendly or to be able to turn our business into what we want it to be because it's just like too hard for us to learn. And so when I went on a hunt to find my software, because I've been training CRMs for years, my goal was to find a piece of software that was going to be something visually happy when you first look at it and not hard to learn. And so that helps with having all the training too, because for me, I'm giving you sales-centric training as opposed to tech training. I'm going, oh, you're a salesperson. Let me teach you how and why we're using it. And then, by the way, there's a piece of software in here that will do it. Don't do it that way. Do it this way. So I get a lot of that, but you have to know what's important for your business and make sure that you're looking for the things that are going to work for your business and not listen to somebody else because they said it was good for this, that, or the other reason, because they might be doing their business totally different. Plus their technology level is different. Their understanding of technology is different.
Well, I think
so it makes it tough.
Yeah. I think that's some of the best advice that I've heard in a while, because basically it's crystal clear about what are you trying to accomplish. There's not the silver bullet that you're just going to go buy something and all of a sudden you're going to close a bunch of deals. Like if you aren't crystal clear on what you're trying to accomplish, then the CRM that you have may not be for you. And what's going to happen is you're going to say, well, I had that CRM, it didn't work. Well, it didn't work because it was, it wasn't what you were trying to do. I mean, you think about certain tools for cars. Like you have a certain car that has like proprietary tools to work on it. If you have that car, of course, this other one isn't going to work. It doesn't have what you need to work on that specific car. So I think that is an incredible piece of advice for people. Then I think it's very hard as agents, even though we talk about doing, niche marketing and stuff like that, a lot of us, especially in my market is, well, where do you service? Las Vegas. Well, Las Vegas is a little bit different than, I grew up in Seattle, where there's Seattle, you like cross a lake to go to Bellevue and it's like a trek to go to a different spot. Here in Vegas, you're like, oh, I'm in Vegas all over. Oh, now I'm in Henderson. Oh, okay. It's not like, hey, welcome to Henderson. So you end up working the whole valley instead of being like right in this spot. And then it just becomes like kind of a big overwhelm. You're not clear on what your business is.
Right. And I think another thing that we tend to fall into traps about, and you and I both work at the same brokerage, but in different cities. But the point is that like your company might give you CRM, right? And so what I hear a lot is, I'm going to use my company CRM because they're giving it to me free. But here's the part that we don't really focus on very well. First of all, they're giving it to you free. Usually when they're giving it to you free, guess who owns it? So if you leave, because most of us don't stick with our brokerages forever, but if you ever leave, you want to take your stuff and put it in your pocket, right? Your website. And this is, trust me, I walked away, you guys, 10,000 leads. and left my CRM and my leads all on the table. I had to. It was part of my rules. So that's number one. But on top of that, you tend to get what you pay for. And so when you're not paying for it, this is the part that just gets me, is that people will go out and spend $2,000 to get 20 leads from Zillow a month, but yet have no follow-up system in place, and then balk over spending $50 on a CRM when we know the money's in the follow-up. It's not in the lead generation. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have your follow-up in place, I mean, think about how, if you spend, okay, I'm going to say $100. My top package is $100, but I got 30 campaigns in there. And I got matching I got landing pages and drip campaigns to go with it. But the point I'm trying to make is, if I could help you close one extra deal, just one a month, what is that? How many of these deals do you have to close to break even? Your free CRM isn't teaching you this stuff, right? And most likely, if you're getting it free, that company or your broker does not know anything about it. They don't know how to teach you. They don't know what you need to know, and they will push it off on somebody else that really doesn't know what they're doing either. So I think you need to really examine, when I'm getting something free from my MLS or my broker, what are you really getting, and what are you not gaining by having a better system in place that you understand and will use. So again, it's not so much a promotion for my CRM, although I do want you to come check it out, but it's more of understand what you're getting when you get into these things, and what you're missing out on by not using it, right, in the way it should be used. You know, that's huge. So yeah. And you only have to close one deal to easily break even, and way more, right?
Yeah, for
and our agents in our system are doing that. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So
yeah, well, that's awesome.
But it's that mentality.
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned about your different packages and things like that. Where can people find you in order to?
Oh, thank you for asking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So EngageMoreCRM.com is the website, and when they go there, they can see the software is the same amongst the different packages, as is the training. So what is different in my system is we're providing you more content. So depending on the kind of business you have, whether or not you might just be a part-time agent and don't do much and whatever, but if you're doing this full-time, our most popular package is only $99, and you get over 30 proven campaigns. And it's not just sending out email and texting. We have video emailing templates that you don't have to pay for, by the way, because some of our systems charge us for that. We show you how to do it all. And then also landing page software. So when you combine all of these things that you're paying for BombBomb, or your lead pages, or your listing to leads, or whatever other systems you're using, what are you going to get for 99 bucks plus all this proven templates? And guess what? All my training from my experience working in this business. I was telling you earlier, I sold a course with another CRM because the only way I could do it. And, trained people. There's my son over there moving out of the house. We're having a fire, by the way. But what are you gaining by having all the tools in one place with better training, understanding it, because you're getting training plus the content, and you pick what works best for you. And EngageMore CRM. I would also encourage, we're starting our video blog, and so a bunch of free tips and training available on my site, as well as our YouTube blog. And hopefully I'll get some help from you to get my other podcast part running.
Oh,
I'd love
absolutely.
to hear about that.
100%.
Yeah, the audio podcast side of this, I'm excited to hear about how to do that more. But yeah, EngageMoreCRM.com, and there's a demos and stuff over there, and all the content's there. And pick your package that works best, and we get you in and get you jump started really quickly. And the biggest thing is just giving you the steps. You're going to come in and I'm going to say start at the jump start, and we'll get you in and get you set up. We'll help you clean up your database. We'll help you export it out of wherever you're at, make sure that it's imported fast, and then we're going to turn on a re-engagement campaign, and within minutes get you instant. I want to say instant. You will get responses from people. Now, are all they going to be happy and say they want to work with you? No, but we want to revive and re-engage some old business for you, and see if there's anybody in there that could use some help from you. You don't know until you get something going, right? So That's what my goal is then you learn off of that group of people, right? We're not going to bring 10,000 leads in and because that we'll shut down. We just will. I've been doing this too long to let you do that. So,
yeah, absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. Well, that's awesome. It seems like it's definitely a great recipe for success as far as,
Thank you.
following, fortune is in the follow-up, right? And you're right. I think
It
a lot of
is.
times that we do, we get so obsessed with getting the leads, we forget what to do once we have them. So very excited
Yeah.
to check it out and get some members of the audience out there checking it out as well.
Brandon,
and you and I
thank
will
you.
absolutely chat offline, off
Offline.
camera, whatever. But we'll definitely be chatting, in the near future. And I really do appreciate you taking your time out and sharing your story and your product that you've created for us agents to be able to use and be successful with. So thank you very much.
Thank
Patti, I
you.
appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time letting me tell my story. It's important for me to get it out there because you're right, the money's in the follow-up, and I got a passion so that we are stop paying for every shiny object. Let's close some of what you've already paid for instead of going out and spending more money, because I've been doing it too. Nobody wants that.
Yeah. Perfect.
So,
I love it. All right. Well, thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thanks.